Good morning. This is Professor Haston with the Professor Helps, and on this week's episode of the Professor Helps, which is designed to inspire you, motivate you, and frustrate you, I want to talk to you about being intentional. So, 33 days ago, I gave up soda for good. Now, it's a hard thing to say for good because for good is way off into the distance. But one of the things I'm learning about that is being intentional is more important than being right. So let me explain. One of the things that happened is that I decided I was going to give up soda. In that same process, I also decided I was going to drink more water. So when you take something away, add something in. And there are going to be days when you do better than others. For example, giving up soda didn't mean I gave up sugar. Giving up soda didn't mean I gave up chocolate. I gave up soda. And specifically Pepsi, because it's been something I've had a lot of in my lifetime. I don't even want to think of the gallons that I've consumed. The reason that I'm talking about this, though, is because there's a quote that I have a love-hate relationship with, which is reach for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll land among the stars. And I don't like that quote because it basically says shoot for the moon, and then even if you don't make it to the moon, you'll still land among the stars. Like the stars aren't some fantastic thing to get to begin with. When you're looking at a goal, you have to have the moon, and it's like it goes against everything I believe in terms of progress over perfection. So in the 30 days, I actually had a diary and I tracked how I was feeling, where my energy level was, and things like that, just to kind of be an experiment. And one of the things I noticed that there was 3 specific days over the last 33 that I didn't feel well. I was having a rough day. There was just life happening, which could be ascribed to every single day. When we live in our lives currently, there's a lot going on to upset us. There's a lot going on to affect us. I decided this was a habit that wasn't serving me anymore. So I think that it was as simple and as difficult as saying, this isn't something that serves me anymore. And so it caused me to back off of it and go, okay, so why am I doing this? And so examining the why on that was more important than the actual what, because as those days came up, I was like, okay, so why do I want this? And I found out that it was linked to an early childhood memory that was happy. Drinking Pepsi with my father was something that I always really enjoyed. And so that memory has been carried with me all this time. And part of that has been just, it's a comfort. It's a really great comfort. So when I'm upset or when I'm frustrated, I would also drink Pepsi. And those specific 3 days of the last 30, I really examined, okay, so why do I feel this way? What do I want? And what's going on? It's like I wanted to recapture that memory. It's like, well, I can think about that memory without drinking the Pepsi, because goodness knows there were many times I was not reaching for comfort. I was just drinking. I was just drinking my Pepsi. I wasn't thinking about, why am I drinking this? And so I think that being intentional is more important than being right. And that's kind of where I'm going with today's message, is that I'm being intentional right now about the snooze, and I'm going to tell you, it is not going well for me. I am snoozing about every other day as I try to give up this lifelong habit. I'm known to say that sleeping in is my 6th love language, which is not to say that snoozing is not my 7th love language. Because I really love to snooze, and I do a lot of things to support the snooze. Like I will, do a lot of things the night before. I'll put my clothes out the night before. There's a lot of stuff that I'll do to support getting up and going back to sleep. And I realized that this was a habit I was passing on to my daughter, and I already know that it's not super effective. There's a lot of science to back this up. You can look up any article that will tell you why snoozing is bad. I've had my husband, I've had really dear friends of mine tell me for years, including strangers on the internet, how bad this is. And the truth is that I'm just not quite ready to give it up yet. Even though I'm saying that I want to give it up and I'm being intentional about it, I'm still having a really hard time. Like, for example, last week was the first week, and 3 out of 7 days I still snoozed. And this is the second week, and I've snoozed 2 days in a row. So it's definitely not perfect, but the progress is that I'm aware of it and I'm being intentional about it. And I think that the message I want to import to you is like, what do you need to be intentional about? What are you doing every single day that you're not thinking about that could maybe be a habit that's not serving you? So there's probably a lot of things that you could point to. I am not trying to take away your comfort in a difficult time. So don't hear me when I say that. What I am saying to you is there is something that you do, and I'm sure of it. Maybe it's as simple as going onto social media and scrolling and just scrolling and scrolling, and before you know it, 3 hours have gone by. Maybe set a timer. Maybe you do it for 30 minutes and just kind of check in and see, how do I feel? And I realize that I'm having you watch something on social media and then I'm telling you to step away from social media. That is because I truly believe that it makes a huge difference in our temperament. And I've talked a lot about that. There's a lot of blog posts I could do. Maybe next week that'll be the Professor Helps. To get back to the subject at hand though, being intentional I think is magical, because what happens is that your brain chemicals start to go, okay, so why am I doing this? What am I thinking? Where are my emotions and things like that? So with the snooze, it has, I used to call it preemptive laziness. So because I would pack my clothes, I'd pull my clothes out the night before, I would get my food together for the night before, I would set out everything I needed so that way I could sleep to the last possible second and get up. Well, I have a kid and that child has things she needs to do and she's really good at it because she's 4. But she still needs help and she can't get up on her own and can't do breakfast on her own. So like, you know, we're working towards that. But another thing we were working towards, which I didn't realize, is that we were snoozing. I would go get her up in the morning, like I'm about to do in about 10 minutes. And we would snooze for about 5 or 10 minutes. Like, you know, we're sitting on the couch, we're not really asleep, but it's not a great way to start your day because then you're kind of groggy and you don't really want to get up. And, you know, she's 4 and she's my child, so she's prone to a little bit of drama. So, you know, don't really want to encourage that. And so what we started doing is like, I'll come in, I'll turn the light on and say, good morning, sweetheart. And my dear Aunt Nancy, hopefully she's watching this, this is something that she did with me, trying to break me of the snooze when I was visiting in St. Louis one of those times. And she would say, wake up and face the day. And, you know, she's one of those people who attacks the day with gusto every single day. And she wakes up and she's in an amazing mood. And, you know, I try my best to emulate Aunt Nancy. And she always talks about the fact that that's the way to start the day. And, you know, there is a lot to be said for having a morning routine, and I'm learning that. A big part of it, though, is setting it all up the night before and then just not snoozing. Another thing that's been happening to me is I've been waking up before the alarm, which is a great feeling to me. If you need the alarm, that's awesome. But this has kind of been a slow progression because I gave up having my phone wake me up in the room because I read a bunch of studies about what the light does to you and how you can't sleep and things like that. So the phone is outside. I have an old-fashioned double bell alarm clock that wakes me up. And most of the time I get up and I get moving. But really my favorite days are the days when I get up before the alarm, not 2.5 hours before the alarm like's been happening. So I've kind of snoozed / the alarm hasn't gone off yet. So, you know, all the tricks that your brain plays on you where it's like half of you is very happy you woke up before the alarm because that's a great feeling. The other half of you is going, oh, it's so early. I don't need to be up yet. So I guess what I'm going to try to do from now on is embrace whatever happens. So if I started going to bed at a decent hour because before I was staying up too late. So there's a bunch of intentional steps that have led to where I'm at right now, which is in the middle of conquering the snooze. And part of that is being intentional and noticing how I feel when I wake up. And it makes a tremendous difference. If I wake up and I don't go back to sleep even for 10 minutes, because last week I went back to sleep for 10 minutes, which is a huge improvement. I normally go back to sleep for about 30 minutes. And I was like, okay, well, this is good. But I noticed how groggy I was, how out of it. I was a lot more temperamental. And so I went, okay, this is a habit that's not serving me. It's just like the soda. And I'm not advocating that you give up anything that gives you joy because God knows right now, and really all the time, we need as much joy as we can get our hands on. I'm saying that if you find that a habit doesn't serve you, go ahead and take a look at it and say, okay, what can I cut out? Or what can I add in that will help support me getting rid of something that doesn't serve me? Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Professor Helps. If you find this helpful, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and then also share with your friends. Maybe somebody you know is trying to give something up. Maybe somebody you know is trying to encourage a new habit in a friend. Maybe that's you. Definitely leave a comment below. Let me know something you're working on. And then, of course, be sure that you are doing all you can to be intentional about finding your own joy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Professor, and I'm the Professor, signing off.